Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a game I have been waiting for ever since early 2017. The game has gone dark for a year or so and is finally in our hands. And after spending so much time with the game, I can tell you it was definitely well worth the wait. As with the games I talk about on this channel, I don't know if I should be talking to you as if you're a newcomer to the series or as someone who has played many a Shin Megami Tensei game before. Usually I'll try to blend the two, or I'll just try to speak how welcoming the game is to newcomers. That being said, I will still say this is probably the most newcomer friendly Shin Megami Tensei game right now. So if you are a newcomer, you could start with this game. However, I know the hardcore of hardcore SMT fans might tell you otherwise. I'm going to present this review as best as I can from a veteran's perspective, as I've played nearly all mainline Shin Megami Tensei games and finished Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne on hard, which I believe is the only game SMT5 needs to be compared to. Now, when it comes to Shin Megami Tensei games, you know that Tokyo is the center of attention. The city or the world is once again facing destruction. You play as a high school student turned Nahabino, an entity that has the potential to have the power that matches the gods. At first, you'll be fighting for Japan's branch to stop the demons from invading by going into the netherworld to stop the power balance struggle that will decide the fate of the world between angels and demons. Some of the students you attend school with will also be helping you with this conflict, but it'll always feel like you're the one doing the heavy lifting, especially at story points towards the end of the game. As for the characters themselves, see, this is something that I feel Nocturne really leaned into and I did not like. Most of the time you'll be traveling by yourself, playing the game for hours and only at major story points where you run into other characters in the game, but those points are so far between. I personally just forgot about some characters. Maybe I'm just a forgetful person, but nobody in this cast particularly stands out to me except maybe Dazai, given how he acts and dress. There was a point in the cutscene where a character was like, "Did you forget about me?" And I was like, yes. This way of presenting the characters and the plot is like Nocturne, but it's done much better. It still doesn't make the characters memorable to me, and that will vary from each person that plays this game. Maybe I'm just the odd man out here. But I feel in most SMT games, you really don't have characters. You have people with ideals, things that they believe in, things that they feel is the right way of doing things, and will fight to protect those ideals. It's like the characters and their ideas and way of thinking come first, and then them being actual characters comes second. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the best way I could describe it. And not to say that this is a knock against SMT5 or it's a bad way of storytelling or presenting a character, it's just, for me personally, it doesn't help me to connect to the characters. Shin Megami Tensei 5 will have you roaming and jumping around fighting demons as you make your way to your next story point. There's a good amount of things to do in these areas, such as finding a quest that give you maybe a new demon or some extra money, little creatures to find that will give you extra items from shops, and will net you a different in-game currency called glory that will assist in unlocking miracles. You'll also find some really powerful enemies that you can run into that you'll eventually have to come back to later once you leveled up enough. Kind of reminds me of Xenoblade in that aspect. Shin Megami Tensei 5 offers classic SMT gameplay with a whole lot of customization at your fingertips. The SMT standard of hitting weaknesses to gain extra turns along with protecting yourself against your own team's weaknesses also makes its way back. Demon negotiation is here too, and to me, it's just as annoying and as entertaining as ever. Seriously, some of the dialogue that goes on in demon negotiation is straight up hilarious. Demon fusion has never been more simple, showing options to quickly see what demons you can fuse up to your main character's level, from the demons you currently have on hand to the demons that you have registered in your compendium. One of the newer features of Shin Megami Tensei 5 is demon essences that will allow you to learn skills from that demon. Any demon can get any skills from any essence pretty much, and once you've unlocked a certain miracle, you can transfer not only skills from essences but resistances for your main character as well. Coming up on the boss that uses strong electric attacks, have your main character get a demon's essence that will have him be neutral, or better yet, block electric attacks entirely. You can find these essences by exploring the fields, and once you level up your demon enough, they might give you their essence. Now, another gameplay mechanic that you have at your disposal is miracles. These kind of act as passives that your main character and demons can get, like increasing the amount of demons you can have with you, increasing the amount of skills you or your demons can have, or gameplay benefits like decreasing the price of items at the shop or demon compendium. Now, this type of mechanic has always been in other SMT games before, but here it feels pretty liberating to get these miracles. There are some that I felt were too strong and practical. I almost stopped myself from getting some just to see if I actually needed them for the upcoming area or boss battle. Speaking of boss battles, I always felt that I was kind of ahead of the game when it came to fighting regular enemies, always having the right demons with a good amount of coverage, and my main character didn't have any weaknesses for that area. I was feeling pretty good, thinking I was the shit. But then a boss battle would come by and be like,
Capo, the boss next to the boss.
You ain't shit.
Boss battles will destroy you in this game if you are not prepared, and even if you are sometimes, they will still steamroll right over you. You know, I gotta say, it's rather impressive that this game can have challenging boss battles even with all the customization at your fingertips. But that's the thing, I felt personally the boss battles were challenging but never unfair. Unlike Nocturne, looking at you Matador, looking at you Mont, no, especially you Mont. There was always a demon I could fuse for my level that could help with the upcoming boss fight by being resistant to the boss's attacks, or maybe having a good magic attack that could be used against the boss, and then maybe getting my main character to take an essence for a certain resistances was always there. And honestly, this was true up until about the halfway point of the game, and then it started to become a little bit more complex. You see, as I got towards the end of the game, the demons I could fuse for my level ended up actually having weaknesses to the upcoming boss fight. I was thinking maybe there are other demons I could fuse if I level up enough, but grinding for levels at that point pretty much capped out because the experience I was getting after a certain level for enemies that were available to me to fight, they became next to nothing. So I started looking deeper into the demons I could fuse and saw that the fusion materials for that demon actually had some passive skills that I could inherit to the new fusion, such as resist or null fire attacks. I had to make sure that skill got passed on to the newly fused demon to cover its weakness for the boss fight so they could be fully useful to me instead of giving the enemy extra turns. That happened to me more often in the end game. Now, remember when I said miracles were too strong or too practical? Well, towards the end game boss fights, it was time for me to stop saving up and just flat out get as many miracles as I could. You also have the extremely powerful Mahasui skill. The Mahasui bar will fill after each turn, and depending on the actions you take or the actions taken against your party, it will fill faster. You also have miracles that will help fill the gauge. The Mahasui skill is your trump card, so to speak, and will help you get some high damage off, get some serious buffs on your party, or heavy debuffs on the enemy. You can get a miracle that will allow your main character to use Demon's Mahasui skills as well. But don't think this is all one-sided. The enemy can also use a default Mahasui skill that lets all attacks land critical, so you need to be properly prepared for when that happens. Let the enemy catch you not guarding when they unleash their Mahasui skill. There's a good chance you might end up at the game over screen. The game is just terribly well balanced, giving you exactly what you need when you need it, provided you actually take the time to look for it. Sometimes no more than that and no less than that. Now I know some people are going to be playing this game and say, it's not that hard if you do this, or it's not that hard if you do that, but to the average player, it might not be that readily apparent. Remember, game developers can't make the game so hard that it shuts out the average player, unless that was the intent, but here I don't think that was the case. I think one of the biggest things that stands out about Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the graphics. For a Switch game, it looks pretty good. You'll be exploring a ruined Tokyo and it looks just like that. There are destroyed buildings, roads, highways that you'll be traversing, all with a fairly nice level of verticality. I think Atlas did a stellar job optimizing the game for Switch. These areas are huge to explore and they come with a good amount of detail to distinguish each area from another. Now the game does run at the standard 30 FPS most of the time. However, when loading into a new area, the game suffers a little bit of slowdown for about maybe less than 3 seconds, but you know, not even that. And I've noticed the occasional texture pop in fields and sometimes more notable while fusing demons. As I said, I feel Atlas did a stellar job with this game given how big each area is and how much is going on in the background, from demons roaming the land, some light environmental effects, and the treasures that you can find. I don't think there are many developers that could have pulled off the game running as good as it does with the limited hardware to work with as Atlas has done here. You know, it's by no means perfect, but as I said, I'm still impressed with what they managed to do. The soundtrack of SMTV works rather well. I would say we got some pretty good tracks here, with my favorites coming from the battle themes and boss battle themes. Two in particular that I can't stop listening to. I think the overall tracks have a strong, barren, isolated sort of theme when going about from place to place. I wouldn't say exactly the field themes stand out, but none are bad by any means. It all just works and fits the game to a T. When it's all said and done, Shin Megami Tensei 5's gameplay is the real winner here, offering classic SMT turn-based combat with a host of customization options. No build for your Mahabino is wrong, as you'll have many options to make up for the points you didn't pump into strength or magic, for example, with the wealth of demons and skills they can learn. You also have modern conveniences in this game, like seeing what the enemy is weak to before you attack it with a certain skill, and being able to easily fast travel to already seen locations to make completing quests a relatively painless affair. I'm not the biggest fan of the characters, which is completely and utterly a subjective matter, and they're not presented badly by any means, they just don't stand out as much to me. In Nocturne, this was the same case. If you're in need for some challenging turn-based JRPG combat, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not going to hold your hand. You'll need to be mindful of the options available to you and to explore the areas around you to make sure you stand a chance in the upcoming boss battles. Well guys, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is out, so I'm sure some of you are playing it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Of course, hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Hit the like button, of course. Join notification brigade so you know when I'm uploading a new video or I've gone live. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.